Hello and welcome to Meandering with Mandy. I am Mandy, your hostess for this podcast, which finally has a proper name. Also, thanks to my friend Jaskrriti, who happens to be my first guest on the show here now in the new format with the proper name. Meandering because I love to go on a tangent with people, and especially when Jaskrriti and I hang out together and talk, that happens quite a lot. So it's a very appropriate name. And Jaskrriti shared with me what it's like to grow up really connected, being to the spiritual roots of your ancestral lands, which I think is absolutely wonderful and amazing. And in the end, we also talked about how she'd gotten into tarot, because that's one of the things that we actually really connected over here in my metaphysical shop in Heidelberg. I sometimes host so-called Soul Saturdays here in my shop, where people like Jaskrriti come and offer their services. So in this talk now, you can hear a bit more about how she'd gotten into tarot, how that journey started, but also her journey before from India to Germany. And without much further ado, enjoy the show.
Hello.
As if I've not said hello to you thrice.
Right, that's if the camera's running. And for the audience,
Yes.
start with nice seeing you again.
Nice seeing you again.
Right. So, Jaskrriti, you and I, we've come here together for my new podcast, and thanks to you, I finally found a lovely new name, Meandering with Mandy. Hi everyone, I'm Mandy, your hostess, and today Jaskrriti is here.
Hello.
And I'm really thrilled and excited and happy.
So am I.
And it's so cool because not so long ago, you just walked into my store as a customer. And on that day, spontaneously, I invited you to one of my Soul Saturdays, which are irregular Saturdays I host here, where people like you come and offer their services, in your case, tarot readings. But also, you come from India originally. And when we were talking, because now and then you drop by and we hang out and we chat, and that's what I love about my store, that it's not just a place where you come and buy stuff, you can actually spend quality time here, which I love. And then I start talking with people, and just here and there you dropped such amazing little things about like growing up in India, because you in India, you seem to have such an alive spiritual practice in your everyday life. And for me, growing up in Germany, that was totally not the case. Also because in my family, people are not really religious. Some people might go to church every Sunday, but that does not really translate much to a very spiritual, very awake daily life. So I'm always fascinated when people talk about that and their own traditions and stuff. And so that's something I wanted to hear more about from you and let other people listen in. That's why we're sitting here with the camera running. Because every time you drop by, I was like, oh, I wish I had a recording of this just to share with people, because it's so awesome. So
I'm glad that you find it awesome, especially because so many of these conversations, if I was having these conversations in India, they are so regular, so normal.
yeah.
They're like your classic. I mean, of course, I can't speak for everyone, but at least for the people in my life, these are like your classic, hangout conversations.
Mm-hmm.
You probably over a cup of tea, or even just like sitting down in your drawing room, or even if like you're just randomly chatting with someone, something spiritual is bound to come up at some point. So it's the contrast is very interesting for me too.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that I don't know that in Germany, spirituality is still not that big a thing. But at the same time, it's so interesting because for me, it's something that is so normal.
Mm-hmm.
And then to hear from you that you wish you could record this to share with other people, I'm like, damn, okay, nice. But yes, growing up in India, for anybody who has grown up in India, I think most people will attest to the fact that we have a dedicated space for or altar for our whoever we believe in, and we have our own practices.
Mm-hmm.
Most people follow like prescribed practices that they think, okay, this is in accordance to the texts. this is in accordance to what was told to me by my elders, by my local priest, or whoever they trust. So I think most people will be able to attest to the fact that they've been familiar with spiritual practices basically since they were babies. So that contrast is very interesting for me too.
When you are in India, do you actually talk then about like religions, or is it like a spiritual practice, or what's actually, like, to translate it into English, of course, like what's the term that you use?
I think we talk about religion and spirituality both. For many people, there is a big intersection between the two. For many people, there isn't. At the same time, like India has so many diverse beliefs. Like if I started to talk about the diverse beliefs of India, we would never stop talking.
Okay.
But also, I think just to speak for my environment, or like in the environment I grew up in, I can say that there's definitely spirituality and religion are like a Venn diagram. They intersect quite heavily at some point, but there are aspects that may not belong to either circle. I would say personally, I think you can technically be spiritual without being religious.
Yes, that's definitely, yeah.
But I don't think that you can always be religious without being at least a little bit spiritual. Of course, then there are probably people who are very religious, but they don't like think about the spirituality of it at all. I'm sure there are some people out there. But I think for most people want to connect with whatever higher power they believe in via religion. So I think, and it's great because we also have a lot of religious diversity in India. I can only speak primarily about Sikhism and Hinduism because that's what I grew up around and in. My family, if I talk about my family, we are Sikh. I follow Sikhism. I have a very interesting relationship with Sikhism. I also have a surprisingly interesting relationship with Hinduism.
Okay.
Which started mostly when I got into astrology.
Okay.
Up until that point, I don't think I had interacted with Hinduism that much.
May I interrupt you just for a second? Because when you say astrology, my non-Indian mind immediately would like jump to Western astrology, but you mean Vedic astrology,
I
right?
do, yes.
Oh,
Thank you
okay.
for clarifying that. I
that's-
do mean Vedic astrology.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Which I feel like is such an interesting, I mean, of course, a lot of people don't believe in astrology for obvious reasons. They might find that it doesn't do anything for them. Many people, even in fact, I would say a lot of people in my own religion would see it as superstition.
Oh, okay.
Which is like a totally fair interpretation because astrology, if taken to an unhealthy extreme or even like taken too seriously without really looking into, like, if you don't know the reasons why you're doing something, I would call it superstition because at that point, what do you know? Like, why are you even doing something? What is the intention? What is the what exactly do you think you're doing at that point? So, but also, like diverse beliefs and everything. But at the same time, Vedic astrology I found has been very instrumental for me to understand how I function, to get a blueprint or like a sort of map for my life.
How old were you when you got more into Vedic astrology?
I think, to be fair, I'm not really a very like in-depth astrologer. I'm pretty much an amateur.
That's okay.
And mostly, like, I don't tell people that I'm an astrologer because I'm not. I tell people that I'm interested in it, which is the true statement.
Yeah, that's totally fine.
I think around the time, around 2022 is when I actually like got into it. I got my birth chart read by a couple of people. At that point, I had no idea what a Vedic birth chart is supposed to look like.
Okay.
I had no idea what it means.
So that was all back in India?
All of it, yes. I had no idea what anything means.
Okay.
But then it was a phase in my life where I was going through a lot of uncertainty and looking for answers. And I think that is when most people turn to like astrology, tarot.
Esoterics,
Exactly.
stuff like that. Yeah.
And so did I.
That's fine. That's all right.
I think that's a very natural response to
I
uncertainty.
think it even is a logical response because, when the rational world around you starts not to make sense anymore, of course you turn to somewhere else, to some other place to try and find meaning and answers again. So I think that is actually very understandable and relatable for most people.
I mean, I had already been familiar with healing practices and esoteric practices way before that. I think my very first experience with, like, I would say my very first mature experience with understanding what healing, esoteric, metaphysical practices are was around the time I was 16. 15 or 16, something like that. Lot of mental health problems back then. My parents, they joined this healing modality called Serenity Surrender. I met some wonderful people there, like some really wonderful people there. I went there for the first time for a kids workshop because I was technically 15. So they said, you know what, come for the kids workshop.
But I think that's just so mind blowing to me that you have like this spiritual kind of workshop, and there are even kids workshops to accommodate the younger audiences. Like here in Germany, that's like, we don't do that here. At least not that I know of. If any listeners or anybody watching knows of something, please drop it in the comments and let me know about it. But that's just so amazing. And was that connected to Sikhism in some way?
No, not at all.
Okay.
This was completely independent from religion.
Okay.
I think this was more rooted in Reiki, Theta healing, and all of that. But I wouldn't claim to have all the answers because it was so long ago. I forgot a
And
lot.
nobody has all the answers, so let's screw that anyways. It's okay not to know, I think.
Then I think that was my first brush with all of it. And then the lady who taught the modality, she was like, no, you're too damn mature for like a kids workshop. I made a mistake. I did not know how mature you would be. So she called me for the basic beginners adult course where I went. Where technically it's not adult content, but the content is geared more towards like people who have more developed brains.
All right.
So, but it was very interesting, and I was very young, and I think it helped me. At first, it made me really anxious actually, because I realized how much there is to understand and how much there is to deal with.
So just to trace back, so the reason you went to that workshop or you were looking out for this workshop was really because you were dealing with mental health issues.
Yes.
And then you went to that workshop, you started that, and then at first anxiety or more anxiety began to rise up.
I mean, I was really intimidated by all the information I was getting. I was like, "Damn, this is
What
a
was
lot."
that kind of information you were given?
I mean, nothing negative actually. It was more like a deeper understanding of the universe, how the universe functions, how to identify your own beliefs or limiting beliefs or things that are keeping you stuck and how to release them. That was the essential. I would say essentially, in a nutshell, that was the purpose of the workshop. And I think like for me back then, I was like, damn, I can do that. Okay. So I think that was one realization, and the other was I got even more anxious because one thing I learned there was your thoughts shape your reality, which scared the hell out of me because my thoughts were horrible.
Well, yes, of course. If you realize your thoughts shape your reality, and if your thoughts are terrible, then you'll live in a terrible reality. That sucks. Okay.
I mean, I had mental health issues. I was really anxious, and I would go so far as to say that I was probably also very depressed. But my point is that like if someone's depressed and they hear, it takes a while to absorb everything in context. But when you first hear the statement that like your thoughts shape your reality, it will scare the hell out of you because you have really bad thoughts at that point in time.
And wait, how old were you back then again? 16, 17?
15 or 16.
Oh, okay, yeah, that makes perfect sense.
So, but it took me some time. I started those practices. I didn't really understand them because I was so young. I mean, I understood the point of them, yes, but I don't think I really internalized them or internalized the purpose or how to, like, how am I supposed to actually go about this or feel about this or whatever. I think it wasn't until much, much later that I realized exactly what these practices were trying to teach me.
Can you give maybe like one concrete example of a practice that you were being taught in that workshop?
It was really interesting that you would like think about your situation. Like, for example, I'll talk about my current situation. I'm looking for jobs, right? And when you're looking for a job, you probably at some point you hit a wall and you're thinking, okay, why am I not getting a job? And if you really like meditate on it, I mean, I think I'm oversimplifying the practice right now because I don't remember the steps anymore. But from what I do remember, you meditate on it and you think about, you just let your thoughts flow and you write down what your limiting beliefs surrounding the situation are. So you write down your limiting beliefs that, okay, I'll talk about one limiting belief that I know I have. Is that maybe I will not know how to do the job. Maybe I will be so bad at it that they will fire me within the first week. Yeah. I know it sounds absurd, but it's real. So you write down your limiting beliefs surrounding that situation, and one by one you transform that statement into, if it's for something you want to release, you transform it into some kind of release statement, where, like, if my limiting belief is that I will not know how to do the job, I write it down, maybe like I don't know,
in an affirmative way.
Maybe.
It's like I know how to do the job, I am confident. So use like positive affirmations.
Partially, but I think it was also like there were certain words that they taught us that if you send these words out into the universe, these words are the universe doesn't respond to the vibrations of certain words.
Okay, interesting.
That, like, if you say the word not.
Yeah, I've heard about that one too.
That's
That's why you should speak always like positive affirmations.
Or just say never. The universe does respond to never. Like, if you use the word never, like, for example, I never want to be hit by a car.
Yeah.
That the universe will respond to.
Oh, okay.
But if you say I do not want to be hit by a car, the
That
word
doesn't
not gets
understand.
deleted.
Okay.
Anyway, yeah, I think, and then you try. I don't remember exactly how the transformation process worked, but basically you transform them, and then you sit, you close your eyes, you do like a grounding thingy where, like, you imagine white light entering your body from top to bottom and going into the earth, and then you say, like, you talk to the creator and you say, Creator, please give me your understanding of all your statements. And then say that if you have fears, you talk about the fears and you say, Creator, please transform my fears into white light now, thank you. And that is how it worked. And then just, chill, relax. But to be fair, like, just getting to this practice, like, the knowledge that you had to build to get to that practice was, for me at that stage, a lot. Like, I was very young. I did another such workshop when I turned 18. And I did another workshop called Understanding, I don't remember the name, but it was about understanding your masculine and feminine or something like that. But it wasn't like how, like, oh, divine masculinity.
Yeah, that's a topic we thought also about getting into.
It was not anywhere near that. I think it was more about, like, understanding the attributes of the creator. And, like, in that sense, the masculine was a grounding attribute, the feminine was a creative attribute. So it had nothing to do with gender. It just had to do with, like, it had to do with just the attributes.
And also maybe just balancing energies in a way.
Exactly. Yeah, I don't remember much about that workshop, to be honest, but I did 3 of them. And then I did like an advanced one as well, where they also taught you manifestation and how to really manifest. Back then I understood absolutely nothing about manifestation. It came much later. That understanding came much later. Then I think I also like I had a phase from like the around the age of 18 till like I think 21 or something, 20 or 21, where I believed in absolutely nothing.
But then in an atheist kind of way, or like.
I think I don't think I ever believed that there is no God, for example, but I think I believed that there is. I mean, fine, there is a God. Maybe there has to be a creator because it even then it didn't make sense to me that this was all a complete coincidence. But I think what I stopped believing in was a lot pertaining to religion, a lot pertaining to even spirituality, and to some extent I thought that all of these things were basically, for me back then, they felt like cages. And I think it's because I misunderstood them. I did not understand how they really function. They're not supposed to be cages ever. They felt like them. And I was also again mental health crisis back then. Started taking therapy somewhere in 2021, and it's funny that like I'm about to talk about how therapy helped me realize that I wanted to believe in things apart from like
The 3D world.
the 3D world, which is so funny because like I don't think it's a route anybody would has spoken about, that I took therapy and then I started believing in spirituality again. I don't think
But
it's
why
something
not?
we can talk about.
Why not? I mean, my therapist is totally open for it. I mean, he does not like recommend it or so, but he also says that like it just makes for a holistic approach in life, and it's totally fine to embrace that part too. But tell me more about it.
I think I started taking therapy mostly for anxiety, but it evolved to like me taking therapy to understand how, I don't know, how I could deal with my own life and problems and how I could become independent. Around the same time, I realized how much solace I found in prayer and how much it calmed me down. I had always found solace in prayer, even when I was very young. Like if you ask my parents, they will tell you that I used to specifically request two very specific shabads.
What are Shabbat?
A shabad is like a hymn like HYMN, hymn.
Yeah.
Do you know what hymns are?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Like a song to
Exactly.
God, to praise a god or
So
a
there were,
deity.
if you talk to my
Okay.
parents, they remember that even when I was like a toddler, I would ask for very specific
Oh,
hymns to be played so that I could listen to them.
Oh, lovely.
And I would only fall asleep. There was a phase where, like, I think my mom will probably be able to give more details. That I used to only fall asleep to a specific hymn. I can give you the link to link it down below.
Oh
if someone
yes,
wants to
we will
listen
totally
to
drop
them.
that in the show notes. I think that would be awesome.
And I think that is where my link with Sikhism reactivated, so to speak.
Sikhism. Tell me also a bit more about that. Do you like pray to a certain god or gods in Sikhism, or is there just like one creator, or like, because honestly I have no idea.
It's one creator, ek onkar, one single creator. It's a monotheistic religion.
Oh, okay. Good to know.
But not like Abrahamic religions. Very, very different. Completely different philosophy. The very core tenet of Sikhism is, of course, one of the core tenets is one God. Then there are, of course, if I get into the theology, there is a lot. But to tell you what we are supposed to live by, there are a few things that come to mind immediately. I mean, again, I'm not a Sikh scholar, so I don't want someone to get
No,
mad at me
but that's not
later.
why we're here. I just really want to know about your personal experience growing up with Sikhism.
I think what I love the most about Sikhism is the attribute of service. We have a very strong service culture in the sense that it's not like it's like community coming together. We have these concepts of we have a concept of langar, which is basically a community kitchen where you cook food in like massive quantities and you serve food to devotees. You all sit down on the floor and eat together. And that's another thing that I love, that there is complete equality in Sikhism. That everyone sits on the floor together, no matter your gender, no matter what religion you might originally belong to, no matter where you come from, no matter what your status in society, you all sit on the floor and eat. I think only the elderly are exempt, like if they cannot physically sit on the floor.
Of course, yeah.
But I think we one of our core tenets, and something that I think all 10 gurus have probably I would say upheld, is the attribute of all of us being equal in God's eyes. That it doesn't matter whether or not you were born into a rich family, or in India there is also a concept of casteism. And for simplicity's sake, I'll translate it to classism for now. Like, it doesn't matter which strata or rank you come from in society. In front of God, you're all the same.
And how often would people come together in these community kitchens to share a meal?
Whenever. I mean, I think some so it depends on your local community. Like in our local community, we have like on Tuesday nights we have prayers and kirtan, which is again like someone who is a scholar or is a skilled ragi. They come and they play the music, and they have their own lovely setup and instruments and everything, and then people listen to them. Then there are prayers. Sometimes there's also they read so one thing, I don't want to call our guru a book, but our current 11th guru is a living guru in the form of a book. That's the easiest way to explain it right now.
Hold on, repeat that one more time. The current guru, the 11th guru, is like
Guru Granth Sahib Ji. A Granth means a book. I can show you a picture later.
Okay, yeah.
And that's the guru we bow to.
So hold on, that book is the guru.
Because it contains all the teachings and all the knowledge of all the gurus before, and all the people that the gurus felt were worthy to put their teachings in the book. And
But excuse me if I interrupt. A guru is supposed to be a person, I thought. But you have a book. Okay, because that book contains all the knowledge of the 10 gurus who came before. All right.
And we consider them living, like this. We consider Guru Granth Sahib Ji our living 11th Guru.
Okay.
And our now eternal Guru, because the teachings in there are what we follow. Sometimes we even have people who like explain the teachings, because the language is, back then the language was very normally easily understood by people, but now like since language has changed, there sometimes
You
people
need
have
someone
to
interpret the whole thing. I mean, the same as happened with the Bible, it got translated and stuff. Is there, like, because my impression for Catholic religion, because that is what I was baptized as, I never really felt like a Catholic, though, to be honest. And I feel like especially the Bible is mostly interpreted by men in a way to suppress women also. Is that the case in Sikhism too?
Absolutely not. In Sikhism, if you look at just the religious standpoint, women have always been given by our gurus. Women have always been given an equal standing to men. There are people who ask, why have there not been any female gurus? Why are not more women not? Why do you not see more women in religious authority in Sikhism? To which my answer is patriarchy. But the religion itself has never, like, there are multiple verses that, in fact, Sikhism doesn't really talk about oppression in that sense. It's a very spiritual religion. It's not about like, this is what you should do and this is not what you should do. It's more about explaining to you what your role in life is, how to live your life, like what framework to live your life by, what should your way of life be, and essentially how to attain God. So it's really not about like like I know there are a lot of things in the Bible about like this is what a woman should do, this is what a man should do. That's not at
There's
all.
also lots of beautiful stuff in there, of course,
Of
as
course.
in all the major religions. I think in the essence, all religions are trying to tell people be a good person.
Yes.
It's just humans who tend to fuck it up.
And also one thing that I must mention, the Bible has been translated and retranslated a lot. So I think that is probably the reason for a lot of misinterpretation. But
And mistranslations and stuff getting lost in translation. So
exactly, but our teachings have somehow, because they are not really translated. It's the language. It's anyway not one language. The teachings in our in Guru Granth Sahib Ji are not in one language. They're in very mostly North Indian languages, but different North Indian languages. There you can find stuff that is in fact people. Punjabi is technically the language of the Sikhs, but if you look at Guru Granth Sahib Ji, not everything is in Punjabi. It's in different languages. You will find texts written in Hindi, in Braj Bhasha, there are texts in so many languages. I mean, I wish I had brushed up a little bit more and I could talk about this a bit more. But I also don't want to get my facts wrong.
That's all right. And we wanted to
it.
talk about your like personal experiences and
Yeah.
that we go on come in with now like why this is called Meandering with Mandy, because we love to go on a tangent here.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yes, and so I think my original question was like, what was it like to grow up with Sikhism? So what were some of your daily practices? And then you started talking about the community kitchens and how everyone's equal and sits on the floor together. What else was it like to grow up with Sikhism? What were your traditions and like daily habits too, maybe?
I think the only daily habit I actually have right now is that there is a specific prayer that I do every day. Well, prayer sounds like I just sit and I close my eyes and I talk to God for 5 minutes and I'm done. That's not what it is. It's I read a proper text, and it's less about like doing it as like a ritual and more about. One thing is of course discipline, because I've been doing this every day for the past ever since I was 12 years old. I wake up, I take a shower, and this is the first thing I do. But this particular prayer, it's called Sukhmani Sahib, which Sukhmani translates into Sukho ki mani, which means Sukh is happiness and all the good in life. And money means, I don't know how to translate it from Hindi to English right now. I'm not getting the word in my brain. Let me actually.
Well, it sounds like the word money, but I guess that's not
No.
what we're talking about here. Although money can lead to happiness to a certain extent.
I don't think that is the point.
Nope, most likely not. At least I hope not.
So it says, peace of mind, the nectar of the name of God. Oh, that's interesting. Anyway, I think this part, I started doing it because my elders or people around me told me that it will bring you a lot of happiness. This is how you invite happiness into your life. And some people even told me that it will give you a lot of perspective. Once you start understanding the text, it will give you a lot of perspective. And I think over time, it has actually given me a lot of perspective. And me doing it every day, even in parts, is basically like a daily reminder to keep that perspective in here.
And it's the very same prayer or text that you read every day, or is it?
I divide it in parts.
Okay.
So I divided it is already divided into 24 parts. I read 6 parts every day. So every 4 days I complete a cycle. It's not a prescribed way to do it. Like most people don't do it like this, because technically if you sit down you can finish the whole thing in 45 minutes or 1 hour. But I prefer to like take it in slowly. I don't want to take it all in together. That's why I do it in parts. And this has since the age of 12 been my daily practice personally. In the last couple of years, ever since I started, like whenever I visit India, ever since like I came to Germany, now I'm mostly a visitor to India. I try to go to the Gurdwara every day and just sit in that
What is that place? The
Gurudwara,
Gurudwara. What is that?
the
place?
doorway to the Guru.
Uh-huh.
So basically, that's like what the church is like for you.
Okay.
That's
Mhm.
the Gurdwara for us. It's basically our place of worship.
Mhm.
And I like to go there every day when I'm home because I don't know, it just gives me a lot of peace. I feel like because they pray there all day, every day, so the vibrations of that place are
It's special.
very lovely, very high, very peaceful. And I think that's where I go and just sit down, close my eyes, meditate. If there is a prayer going on, I listen to it.
Do you have like a statue of God that you worship?
The
Or an
form, the
imagery?
book,
Ah, okay.
the actual book.
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
Not the book, but you have. I could show you a picture to attach later if you would like to. But basically, essentially, in a Gurudwara, the Guru Sahab is placed on a raised platform, so you technically bow, and there's somebody who's always reading from the pages, and there is very often people talking about the interpretations of what is written in the text. If you really start to listen and read yourself, it does become like Selbstverständlich.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what the English word is right now.
That's a good hold on. Selbstverständlich. It becomes
Self-explanatory, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, it's no. Self-explanatory is selbsterklärend. That's not
Oh.
selbstverständlich. It just becomes natural.
Yeah,
actually.
exactly. You start picking up on what it's supposed to mean on your own. That's
Mhm.
kind of the point I was trying to make. And that started to happen with me with the more frequently I started to do the part, the more not frequently, but the better I understood the meaning. And I feel like if someone's familiar with, even if you just speak Hindi, I think over time you will start to pick up on what everything means. It'll take time, of course, but
Mhm.
anyone who lives in North India will actually start to understand it after a point. And I feel like because the main core tenets are actually very much about not having fear or hatred in your heart, having a sense of duty towards your community. There are three things that they even teach us in school textbooks about Sikhism. Kirit karna, naam japna, vand chakna, which means kirit karna means do your duty, do your work. If your occupation is of a farmer, go to your field every day and work hard, for example. Naam japna means take the name of God.
What does that mean?
So sit down and actually remember God, recite His name, take His name, utter it out of your mouth, and spend time remembering God, essentially, or connecting with God. And one chakra means whatever you earn, you share with your community. So there is a concept of daswant, which means you share 1/10 of your income with your community, which is like essentially, people think of it as charity. I think of it as like everyone coming together, pooling resources and redistributing.
Yeah. And I know in Islam there is zakat,
I see.
but I don't know about any similar practice in the Christian religion, to be honest. I mean, of course, maybe you're supposed to be charitable and give to those in need, but I don't think there is like a certain, because I know in Islam too, that zakat is supposed to be a certain percentage of your, not necessarily income, but of like the profit that you made with your business, for example. So yeah, but I don't know about anything like that in Christian.
I'm not sure if it's like as formalized as it is for us, maybe for Sikhs, but I am sure that even if it is not formalized, those concepts exist. And I think these are the things that kept grounding me back into Sikhism. I think even when I didn't feel like I believed in anything, I kept doing my prayers. I kept going back to the Gurdwara. I kept participating in the community. And I think that brought me back to scripture.
What was it that made you feel like you're not believing in anything anymore? Because, it's so interesting to me that. You say like there was a phase where I didn't believe in anything, but you still kept reading your scriptures and praying, and you kept going through the motions.
Back then, I actually thought I'm only sticking to what I'm used to, like my routine, so to speak. But
Yeah.
I think now, after enough time has passed, I have the perspective that I don't think it was the case that I never believed in anything at all. I think it was the case that I refused to believe in things that made me fearful. So even if I was not directly engaging or saying that I don't believe in anything, I think it was more about me not wanting to believe in something that would make me feel afraid or scared or fearful, or make me think twice about what I'm supposed to think, what I'm supposed to say, or how I'm supposed to live my life, what I'm supposed to believe. I think I just didn't want impositions back then. But also mental health struggles, you think so many things, you feel so many different, like it's hard to really explain why you start to think that way. I think for me it was more numbness than anything else. I don't think that I stopped believing in everything. I think I just became numb to it. And I did stick to my practices because back then, of course, I used to tell everyone, oh, it's a force of habit, I'm only doing it because like I'm used to it. But I think I never wanted to actually let go of them. That is why I stayed. And that is exactly what ended up bringing me back. That was a very profound internal journey. It was so like up and down. But I guess that brought me back into scripture, and also I think because I had grown a little older. I mean, I was not exactly old. I was still around 20 or 21 years old.
So whole life still ahead of you. But I think at the beginning of their 20s, everybody feels like, oh, well, I'm running out of time. I need to have life figured out now, which is ridiculous.
I think you never stop believing it at least in your 20s. You don't really stop feeling
No,
this.
no, you don't. Later, you will. Get ahead in life, but it will come. Don't worry. But at that time, totally not at that time. I have another question though, because you said you went to those like I'll call it spiritual workshops for lack of different word now, when you were like 15, 16 years old, and you had anxiety back then. And then also when you felt like you were not believing into anything, you were around 18 or so? Or
between 18, 19, 20, something like that.
And there again also you had anxiety. Did you, through those workshops and stuff you did, was there ever a phase then where you felt like, okay, you were not anxious anymore and became more stable? Or did that anxiety and mental health issues, did they keep like continuing through that time of your life?
I think it was a very up and down process again. I don't think the stability, even if I did gain stability, I don't think it stayed because my mind was still very anxious. So off and on, it was very off and on, but I really did not stop feeling calmer until much later. I think it was first during COVID when I first felt what having a calm mind really feels like.
Interesting that happened during COVID.
I mean, of course, there was a lot of fear because of what was going on in the world, but in my isolated bubble in my room, I started to feel a lot. Like, I invested in a lot of hobbies.
Cool, great.
I started to knit and crochet and paint and draw. And because of how meditative and grounding all of this was,
that's wonderful.
I think that is where I found some internal peace. So while generally COVID was a terrible time, I also felt sick more than once. But I think that was when I first started to realize how I can like channel all my extra buzzy mind energy into something else and at some point feel calm. Then 2022, I moved to Germany. At the end of 2022, but still.
But hold on before we jump too far ahead, because you said that there was that phase where you didn't believe into anything. You just went through your religious and spiritual motions, and then therapy kind of brought you back into it. So that was still in India?
Yes.
How did therapy bring you back?
I think therapy first taught me what it was like what I was supposed to do to ground myself and calm myself a bit, and how to differentiate between what was just in my head and what was the reality.
Mm-hmm.
And I think as part of the experience of learning how to ground myself,
Mhm.
I came back to Sikhism. I mean, I never stopped believing or anything, but when I would say I just came, it's like coming back home.
Mhm.
You get out. It's not like you left home,
Yeah.
but it's like you're knocking on the door. Like, can someone still will you still let me in? And of course, someone will open the door. That's what happened with me. It was like a bit of a homecoming feeling because, of course, there were things throughout my childhood that calmed me or grounded me that were rooted in Sikhism,
Mhm.
like prayers, hymns, shabads, that sort of thing.
Mhm.
I think I realized it gave me a lot of peace to interact with the scripture, like reading, trying to understand it, reading interpretations, listening to people, listening to there is a very now they've passed on now, but there used to be a very renowned Sikh scholar whose explanations or interpretations of the scripture I started to watch online on YouTube.
Mhm.
They're all in Punjabi, which is not exactly helpful for everybody, but it's still a lovely experience because I think that's where like I started to get a lot of perspective.
Mhm.
And because this person, even when these recordings were made, he was very old, so it looks like your own grandfather was talking to you,
That's kind of nice, isn't
and that
it?
gave it so much more gravity.
Oh, yeah, right. Because when the elders speak, we listen.
Exactly. And I think slowly I came back into Sikhism, then I came back into spiritual practices. I realized how much peace they brought me,
Mhm.
how much they helped me make sense of life. A lot of perspective shifts because when you're anxious, your mind goes in so many directions. At that point, you don't necessarily really need someone to direct you in the right direction. You first need someone to ground you,
Mhm.
so that all that nervous energy has somewhere to go, and then maybe they can turn your head in the right direction. And I think that is the experience I went through as well.
Mhm.
um yeah,
With therapy or with your religious practice?
both. It was like therapy grounding me, but my religious practices grounding me even further, and then giving me perspective. And I think therapy supported a lot of this process because I was able to talk about a lot of things and get them out of my system first. I think that would be the first stepping stone. Like, you get it out of your system, then you find out how to ground your thoughts, your energy, your nervousness, and then you go to, like, again, go back to your therapist or go to scripture for perspective. So I think it was both together for me.
Just a quick in between question. How socially accepted is going to therapy in India?
Depends because some people or some families, I don't think they view therapy very positively.
Okay.
But some families understand that there is only so far that parents can help their children, and there is only so much that someone who's not trained and not a professional can do. So I think there's obviously enough people who understand how important therapy is, and there are obviously also enough people who don't consider it. Some people definitely see it as a scam.
Oh, okay.
They don't think, and a lot of people might also be of the opinion that why should you discuss your internal thoughts, problems, even if they're like problems with your family, why should you discuss them with a third person,
With a stranger.
with a complete stranger? But to which I said, this stranger has absolutely nothing to do with you. That's the best part.
Yes, exactly.
They're not involved in the family, or they're not involved in your personal life. So this stranger has absolutely no stakes.
Yeah, totally.
And I think that's exactly, and they're also like legally, and they're bound by secrecy. They can't exactly talk to people about their patients. So I think that's the perfect person to go to. But I think for my family, I hid it from them for some time because I did not know how they would react. I had absolutely no idea how they would react.
Were you the one who said by yourself, like, I want to go to therapy now?
No, I just started doing it. Like I used to teach German to high schoolers, like as Nachhilfe tutor. And then I would save that money up to pay for therapy.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
You paid for all the sessions by yourself?
Yes. I mean, I don't think I hid it because I thought my parents would be mad at me. I think I hid it because I had no idea how they would react. So I was like, I don't want to take the risk.
Yeah.
But
Fair
eventually I told them and they were like, I think they were very sad because they were like, you were going through all of this and you never spoke to us. And I'm like, I didn't speak to you because I had no idea how you would feel or how you would react. And it was so humbling because they were so sweet. They were like, you can obviously always talk to us about anything. My God, I had tears in my eyes. But they also understood why I wanted to go to a professional. I think I explained it very well also. Okay, this is the whole thing that like I think you as parents, you also have responsibilities, you also have your lives, you also have things to think about. And there are times that I have young people problems, which may not feel very,
Serious to older people?
and not even serious, but more like if you've crossed that stage at some point, and also the way they grew up versus the way I am growing up or my
of
generation,
course.
there are a lot of differences. So I think they understood that if someone's actually trained for all of this, why not? Like, why make everybody suffer?
What made you then open up to your parents? What was the impulse there to share it with them after all?
I don't remember how it happened actually. I just remember the conversation because I think it happened very randomly.
Okay.
I think it happened very randomly. I think it started with my mom. I don't remember how it came up, but it definitely came up. Maybe I was taking a session and then we started talking. I don't remember how it happened.
That's okay, that's okay.
Because this was also like 5 years ago, so I don't really remember. But yes, it was still like I remember the emotions. I don't really remember the events.
The details, yeah,
very
that I
precisely.
can relate to very well.
But I remember the emotions. So that happened. And I did stop taking therapy after a point because I felt like, okay, this thing has the purpose of therapy is over in my life.
It served its purpose, and now you were ready to move on.
Yeah. It wasn't like I was in a. I mean, I still keep. Of course, everyone goes in a bad place and gets out and like is back in a good place. That happens. I think it did fulfill its purpose in the sense that it made me independent. So I stopped taking therapy somewhere in 2024, I think. So 2 years ago.
And when did you come to Germany again?
2022.
Okay. So you were still taking therapy sessions while you were in Germany?
Online.
Oh, okay.
Back in my therapist was in India.
Okay.
Yeah, a couple of years I continued. I think the very first year I was in Germany, therapy really was my crutch. But that was the only place I could talk about how I felt because I had no friends. But over time, like I made friends, built a community here.
You came to Germany to study, right?
Yes. Which was, I was so excited about it at first. I was so excited. I wanted to be here so bad. And then I got here.
Then we're like, oh crap.
I don't think it was as
that badly.
I know it was more like a gradual process of like, oh no,
What did I get myself into?
It wasn't even that I was unprepared. I think the transition was a bit much.
Yeah, but to be honest, I mean, I've spent 11 years of my life abroad and I've went to 3 different countries, and I mean, in the end, there is nothing that truly prepares you for that, because going and living abroad, really entering a system, a foreign system and stuff, nothing prepares you really for that unless you go through that process. Because being a tourist somewhere and visiting a country, knowing it's temporary only, is nothing compared to
Moving there.
Yes. 2 totally different worlds.
And I think this isn't like a Germany specific thing. I think this is the case for anybody who would move abroad.
Especially if you go into a totally different culture. Like, I mean, Indian culture and German culture are, I mean, honestly, I've never been to India, but from my imagination, it's nothing alike.
Very different. I mean, of course, I would say every culture has some similarities, but at the same time, India and Germany are very different countries.
Yes.
Very different places. Like the first contrast I noticed was how quiet it was here, and that there was no background noise. I mean, I love India. I love the background noise too. It's not that I hate it, but the first 3 or 4 months, it was creepy how quiet it was here.
And I'm sometimes annoyed here when I'm on the bus and somebody dares talk on their phone in the bus. I'm like,
I do that all the time. Sorry.
if I ever catch you doing that, I'll come to you and say, Jaskrriti, stop it!
But to be fair, I don't like talk loudly. I try to keep my volume as low as I can. But sometimes it's only when you're commuting that you get the time to really talk to somebody, because you're not like exactly doing something. You're just sitting there.
Yeah.
So that's probably why people talk on the bus on the phone. But yeah, Germany was very like the first time I got to Germany, I think I loved it a lot. The first few days, I was like, yay! Finally!
Freedom!
Yes! Like, I'm starting a new journey. I was so excited.
Of course.
I think, like, but because bureaucratic and like logistical problems, they really put me down at first. And the experience of my enrollment was also like, there was some technical transition going on, so the university couldn't technically enroll me for a very long time, which is, yeah, it was a bit upsetting, but now it's in the past, it's fine.
Yeah, I mean, in the end, nobody cares. Once you got your degree, nobody really cares anymore.
I don't think I care either anymore, but back then it was very difficult. It was a thing weighing on my mind.
Of course, because, you know, if you're abroad in that country already and you want to study there, but the university is not enrolling you, that's like...
They technically couldn't enroll me. It wasn't exactly their fault, but still, like, it was very frustrating for me anyway.
Of course.
It took me until February to get my uni ID, and I've been here since November.
Oh, wow.
So it was frustrating. I missed a lot. I also, because my visa arrived very late, I missed the initial study, like the first month or two of like the lecture period, and obviously I fell behind, and my first semester effectively got wasted. So that's around the time where like my first spiritual awakening started to happen, because I was not going to class. I was very like, I think the transition and shock of moving to another country got to me. To some extent, the German winter also got to me, because I had never seen a winter like this one.
Oh, and German winters are bad. They're
Yeah.
really bad. Gray, rainy, cold for weeks on end.
And I also struggled to like understand how to cope with it. Like, I did not know that I should get some vitamins and
Yep.
probably also figure out a way to like get enough sunlight in the day so that I don't feel depressed. And also, like, I struggled with finding friends at first. It took me a year to make friends. I wouldn't necessarily like blame anybody, but at the same time, yeah, it was just not working out.
Yeah, and I mean, if you miss the first month at uni, you know, when the new semester starts, because that's immediately when groups begin forming and you connect with new people that you sit in the class together with. And if you miss out on that, it's hard if you come
I think
late.
it was only in the summer semester that I started to meet people. Again, I made some friends, but then what I was, I think, really looking for was people that I could share my heart with. And I found that a little later, but I'm very grateful I found them. They're amazing people. I love them so much. I always, every morning when I wake up, it's a practice I've made that I thank God for the things that I'm genuinely grateful for, and I count my friends as well.
Oh, beautiful.
So that is right, and I always thank God for bringing me people who have been instrumental in my journey so far. Like, anybody who's ever done anything nice for me, I think I've at least given thanks once, at the very least once. So yeah, it took me a while to find friends, and I think once you find friends when you're abroad, I think that exponentially makes your experience so much better.
Of course, because you go abroad, you leave everything and everyone behind. You have no family there, and then friends are the chosen family. And I don't know how your experience is, but for me, honestly, like my friends are everything to me now. They really are to me personally, and I'm just about my personal experience. My friends are more important than the family I was born into right now. I mean, there's a lot I'm grateful for with my family, and I know if shit would ever hit the fan, those people would be there for me too. But first, I would go to my friends, not my family.
I think for me, obviously, because I'm actually very close to my family, I'm very close to my parents. So they are definitely the most important, but I think my friends come a close second after my parents and my sister.
And that's
So-
beautiful too if you have such a close relationship with your parents.
I do. I mean, it took some time to develop that because, again, teenage struggles, growing up, getting perspective, and then like it becomes easier to connect a bit later. But yeah, I think I got closer to my parents after I moved abroad. Actually, I think the distance did something. Like we became a lot more open with each other. Like it became a lot easier to discuss certain things. So yeah, moving to Germany did change things even in a good way, not just it wasn't all bad.
No, I mean, when you all of a sudden have this massive distance in between, that I guess can also help you to appreciate.
Exactly.
Your
That's
family
exactly
a lot
what
more.
happened. That's exactly what happened. Because when you always live with family, you don't really understand how important they are until you're away, and then you're like, oops.
I actually love them quite a lot.
Exactly. I mean, of course, you know you love them, but it's like it hits you a lot more when you're abroad.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's like the saying that sometimes you don't know what you had until you don't have it anymore.
Exactly.
And then
Exactly.
it really hits you and you realize, oh, wow.
And I think for me, the first 9 months that I moved away, I wasn't able to visit back home because like visa was still under processing and all of that. So the first 9 months, I've always told people it literally felt like I was being born again, because it was a period of exactly 9 months.
Oh,
And
wow.
then I went
yes.
back home after 9 months,
Uh-huh.
and I actually felt so different when I got back home.
Wow. Yeah. That makes perfect sense.
But that was again a transition. I mean, it not transition. It was still a period of like figuring things out. Understanding really who I am, how I actually feel about who I am. how I-
Spoiler alert, that's gonna last a whole lot longer still.
No, I think.
But that's okay. That's okay. That's fine.
I think
That's right.
I mean it more in the sense that I had a big shock of moving somewhere and being completely independent for the first time in my life. And I think that is when I always say that Germany is the place where I actually became an adult. So I think that is what I mean when I say I was figuring out who I am, how I feel about who I am. What do I do for myself? How can I be? Because when you're abroad, of course you have people around you and friends, but primarily you are for yourself. You have to take care of yourself more than anybody else ever will. So I think that was I always say, oh my god, it was such a trial. So I always call it my trial by winter. Not fire, trial by winter, because winter was a very transformative period for me. Yeah, and then
When did tarot enter your life?
tarot is interesting. Actually, astrology entered my life before tarot.
Oh, okay.
So here is a shout out to a very close and special friend. You know who you are. She and I, she got into astrology before me, and we started talking about it, and then she got me into it, and then we started discussing so many things, and then she taught me how to read and interpret a birth chart, because she was learning from YouTube herself every now and then I got everything that this friend of mine starts. I actually do end up getting deeper into it than her somehow. Because I'm more I would say that I like getting into things as deeply as I can in my capacity, whatever is in my capacity. So she introduced me to astrology. I really got into it. I enjoyed it a lot. But at some point I realized that, okay, astrology is also a lot of math.
Yeah. Yep.
And I was like, as much as like I say, oh, I'm studying economics, I like math, but I don't want math in my hobbies.
Oh, I very much relate to that.
Although people keep saying you knit and you crochet, which is also math in your hobbies.
No,
Yes, it is, but it's
Yes,
a lot
but
more
no.
basic.
Yes, but
It's
no.
so basic.
Yes.
And
Just like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, counting a bit, knitting.
Exactly.
More. Oops.
And I think astrology, like I would love to get deeper into it sometime, like do a proper professional course. But then I just basically became like an Instagram/YouTube astrology person who basically watches videos to like so funny. But I enjoyed the experience a lot. Like I started to, and I think because it led to a lot of self-discovery. So
I think for me, I mean, when you say astrology, you talk about Vedic astrology, and there's also Western astrology. And for me, that too, astrology was really a tool to understand myself, not to make any future predictions or so, but really like personal astrology, truly to understand yourself, your character, your blueprint.
So that's exactly what the difference I would say is with Vedic and Western. Like with Western astrology, it's more focused around the personal. But Vedic astrology, I think, combines that along with like a life blueprint and also future predictions. I think future predictions are a very, I wouldn't say a core tenet of Vedic astrology, but definitely a big reason why people are attracted to Vedic
But
astrology.
I would say that is something that has in common with Western astrology in general, because lots of people want to know, oh, when will I find new love, or when is a good time to maybe switch jobs and stuff like that. And I mean, such questions are valid. It's just those questions I didn't ask them because I never felt that they moved me actually on in life, that they really helped me.
They don't add value.
No.
I think for me it was the opposite. I first came to all of this because I wanted more certainty about my future, because I was feeling so uncertain, because I wanted some kind of reassurance that okay, things will be fine at some point.
Of course, and that's natural.
And
that's
how to
natural.
understand exactly, and also like on the moments where like, okay, I need an explanation for why things are bad, and I also want to find out when they will be good again and why.
Learn astrology, blame the planets.
Exactly. I think, but at the same time, I think I ended up learning a lot of great lessons from Vedic astrology that were not so much about understanding your future, but how to balance yourself in the present, which was not what I originally came for, but now my main takeaway, I would say. And then tarot entered my life. So this.
How did
friend of
tarot
mine-
enter your life? I want to hear about this totally random story, which I haven't heard until today myself yet. So here we go.
It was so random. Like a friend of mine is like, "Can you do like this exact? You know who you are again." This friend of
Hi,
mine.
you know who you are.
I mean, for privacy reasons, I'm not taking their name because I don't want to like. Yeah.
Okay, but if you want, we'd love it if you drop into the comments and say, "Hi, I am that person."
So this friend of mine is like, "Do a tarot reading for me." I'm like.
Just out of the blue.
Yeah, I don't know. That's how I remember that conversation. And I'm like, girl, I don't know how to do it. And she's like, then learn.
Okay, I don't want to learn it myself. You do it because I want you to do it.
I mean, it was so interesting because it's not like she wasn't familiar with it already. She was, but I think she was like, no, I want you to do it for me. I'm like, okay, I'll do it for you personally. It's fine. And I downloaded this like random app.
Okay.
But then I realized that app was like a little stupid, so then I downloaded another app. Now this app was very nice actually. It's called Labyrinthos. I can also give you the link for the app.
Yeah, we'll drop it all in the show notes. No worries.
Great resource for learning tarot because it helps you understand the meanings. And if you go for the paid subscription, which I never did, you can also understand meanings in context to like career, love, or like other situations. I just did that by like reading other books, but at the very least, it was a really good starting point. So I would do like tarot readings in my phone for her using that app. But at some point I was like, you know what? I don't like this app stuff.
But were you like also pulling the cards via the app?
The app has like this option where it like lays out the cards and you can pick and choose which one you want.
Yeah, okay.
Like
okay.
it's a
Yeah.
slider and then you're like, okay,
Mhm,
this one I'm getting a white. Like I used to get numbers in my head, like go to this number and then take this card. And somehow it worked. But I was like, you know what, I'm not super satisfied with the app. Like it's more like I want to feel more connected to the cards, I guess. I wanted to
Physically.
feel connected to the medium. And then my lovely roommate and one of my closest friends in Germany, you know who you are. Again, I'm not taking names.
Are we still talking about the same person?
No,
or is it...
different people.
Okay, ladies, you all drop your names here, please.
And then she bought me my first tarot deck.
Uh-huh. What, were you in Germany at that point in time?
This was not very long ago. The first tarot deck I got was, I think, in October last year. My actual first physical tarot deck. Up until that point, I had been doing phone readings for a year for my friend. But I had learned the meanings of the cards and I had been reading about it. Then my first deck came and I realized how much I loved doing tarot readings. And I had already been doing them privately for this specific friend for over a year. So I was like, and I had memorized the cards, I knew the meanings, I knew what everything means. It was just a matter of getting like a deck of cards in my hand. And then I did, and I started doing it for free, for fun, for friends. At some point I realized as much as I love doing this, when I do it for free or when I do it without any exchange, I fall sick. I would just fall sick.
Even if you did it for your friends?
Yeah, but if it was like, for example, if it's like a random as small question, it's fine. But if I've done 3 or 4 or 5 tarot readings in a row without any exchange, I will fall sick.
That I understand, yeah, because that's a lot too. 3 or 4 readings in a row, that's like, whoa.
Not in a row, like, hey, one person gets up and then another sits down.
But still.
Exactly, which is why I started charging for them, because I realized, you know what, I think I should start charging for this, because I know now I'm bringing in some skill. I did not really do like a course, but
with tarot, in my personal opinion, you don't need to take a course to start reading cards. Not if you do readings for others too, you don't need to take a course. You need to have spent time with the cards. You need experience, but not necessarily a course. I never took a tarot course. Like, I was listening to podcasts, reading books,
me too.
and then just started.
Same. I started reading a lot of books in the winter. I really got, even before the winter, when I was in India last year on vacation, I started reading a few books. I never finished anything. I keep reading them, but I never finish them. I start one and I'm like more than halfway through, and then I start another one and I'll forget about it.
Yeah, but then also, tarot books that teach you about tarot and the single cards, I think those books are probably not even meant to be read like in one go. You spend time with the cards. That's how you actually learn them, I think. That's how it was for me.
I agree, because I feel like some cards, the meanings come very naturally to me, but some cards, there are meanings I will struggle with a lot, because I still struggle to understand what the High Priestess really means and what the Moon card really means.
Those cards where we went meandering for a whole hour, and then I went to the toilet, and when I came back, I said, hey, Mandy, you know what? We started with the Moon and the High Priestess, actually, like 1 hour later. He talked about a shit ton of stuff in between.
Exactly, which was also really interesting. It was a great conversation.
Absolutely, yeah.
And basically, that's how I started with tarot. And then I started doing it for other people, and I started to realize how much fun it was, and how much I enjoyed it, and how much perspective it gave me about my life personally in general. Then I started, obviously I used to do tarot readings for myself as well, and I still do. I pull cards for myself, I think every day, if I'm not wrong. Like, I will at least at some point, once in the day, if it's in the morning, doesn't matter if it's in the morning or if it's at night, I will take my deck out and I'll be like, okay, what do I need to hear right now?
There are some readers, I hear them often say they have actually trouble reading for themselves. It's easier for them to read for others.
It definitely is for me also.
Okay.
it's easier for me to read for others than it is for myself, because that conscious mind bias, I also struggle with that. But I think that's why it helps to like write down what cards you got and what do you think it means in context to your situation. So I think the chatter of the mind is what interrupts you, at least for me. And writing stuff down is the key. So I make a repository in my phone or in a notebook, whatever. Like I'm not at all organized about it, but I still.
It doesn't need to be. It just needs to work for you. What that looks like doesn't freaking matter.
There was a time when I didn't know how bad the implication of unnecessarily using ChatGPT was. I used to put them in ChatGPT also when I was still learning. This was when I was still learning.
It's okay. It's okay. Just people, please don't use ChatGPT for stuff like that. And if you can avoid AI, please.
Yeah, but I did at some point when I was still learning and I didn't know what everything meant. I did that.
But we will not go on this tangent right now because we've been talking about more than an hour already.
Oh my god, that's a lot.
But I love it.
Me too.
Maybe we should, for today, wrap it up here.
Yes, okay, no problem.
But that was great. I mean, we touched on a lot of things that we actually wanted to talk about. And I hope you'll be here again, meandering with me.
I would love to. We can pick up from tarot again.
Yeah, awesome. And then we can talk about experiences and stuff like what happened today in the shop when I just called you and you had to spot that lovely money
For
place.
next episode.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Stay tuned. With next episode, we will share that story and others as well.
I would love to.
Awesome. Thanks so much for joining me here today, Jaskrriti.
Thank you for inviting me. This was so much fun.
Awesome.
And I got to talk about experiences that I have not really discussed much. So, and also experiences that I probably talked too much about. But still, thank you so much for inviting me, for taking an interest in my personal journey, and for trusting me with content for your podcast.
Oh, totally. For me, exchanging personal experiences, I find more enriching and more instructive in a way than reading books, actually, because I really love to hear from personal experiences, because that gives me emotions, and that's something I tend to remember, just like you did with that experience with your parents. You don't really remember what led up to it, what was said, but you remember the emotions, and it's the exact same for me. And so that's what gives me in my life really value. So thank you so much for sharing your story today.
You're welcome.
Okay, see you next time. Bye.